Hey everybody, this is the Marine. The gathered end hammock has such an interesting history. It has provided so much relaxation over so many years. The Mayan Indians have used hammocks over 1,000 years ago in Central America. They are more than likely made out of plant or bark fiber. These main functions were for rest and sleeping off the ground to protect the people from animals, snakes, or biting insects, and also to provide the ultimate comfort while having the material conform to your body, and also for ease of transportation. Now, 100 years or so, the Navy began using hammocks made of canvas. They are much more durable, but they are less flexible to provide comfort, and they were not breathable. Hammocks made of nylon parachute material began appearing around 1999. They are extremely lightweight, they feel like silk, but much more durable and extremely strong. They're somewhat water resistant, but if they do get wet, they dry very quickly. Hammocks are more popular than they were 10 or 5 years ago. Sales have doubled worldwide. Some companies have seen a 140% increase in sales in recent years. While there's many factors that are driving this increase in hammock popularity and different hammock brands, I believe that there's three main reasons why the hammock are becoming more popular globally today. And the first one is more people are getting out of the house and enjoying the outdoor recreational activities. The next one is because of cool innovation ideas for hammock materials and designs and uses. And the last one is more campers and outdoor enthusiasts are choosing to bring the hammock along on their outdoor adventures. And with that being said, and there being so many different types, styles, and different hammock companies, buying a hammock, especially for the first time, can be very confusing. In this episode, we're going to look at the things you should know before you buy a hammock, like what outdoor activity you're going to use it for, and what I believe to be the biggest mistake is buying a hammock that fits you, and also you're going to need to know what suspension would work best for you, and more. Now, when you think about purchasing a hammock, the first thing you need to consider is what outdoor activity you're going to use it for. Are you going to take it to the park where you're going to set it up and kick back, read a book? Or are you going to take it on a nice day hike where you're going to venture to the special location, set up the hammock, have a lunch, kick back? Or are you going to use it for camping, either car camping or backpacking? Now, if you're going to use it for camping, I strongly recommend that you get a hammock that has an integrated bug net. Now, hammock camping is not just for the summertime, it's spring, fall, and winter, even in the extreme cold temperatures. But during those three seasons, you definitely want to have some type of insulation underneath you. And we'll be looking at that in a future episode. But if you're not sure and you only want to try out a hammock, or you're not sure what outdoor activities you want to use it for, or if you want to use it for all the outdoor activities, I strongly recommend that you get an open style of a hammock. You can buy a portable bug net later to use for camping. But the best option for all the outdoor activities is a hammock that has a removable integrated bug net. Plus, with these hammocks, you can also zipper a winter cover for cold weather. Companies like Warbonnet Outdoors, Dream Hammock, or Dutch Wear Gear offer these types of hammocks. So after you decide what type and style of hammock you're going to purchase, the next thing we need to look at is what size of hammock to fit you, which is very important. But before we look at this, I'd like to talk to you about some hammock companies that are offering single and double hammocks. Now, a gathered end hammock is for one person, unless it's a hybrid. You put more than one person in a gathered end hammock, you're going to feel like a sardine in a can. And I guarantee you, with you being squished with other people in there, you're going to have the circulation cut off and someone's going to bail within a few minutes. Now, a double hammock is really short and wide. Now, this hammock being short and wide, it acts like a bowl. You have this loose fabric hanging over. A lot of people may like this. They think that this is going to keep them warm or keep the wind off, which may happen. But this is not as comfortable because it's just too short and too wide. Now this is an wide, and if you have this hammock and you're using it and it works for you, that's great. But if you're looking for another hammock, I would check out a hammock that fits you a little bit better. Now the first hammock I purchased many years ago was an single nest. When I took that thing hammock camping, it was too short, too narrow, and I just couldn't get that flat lie in it. Now this here is the Eagle's Nest Outfitter for short. The length of it is 9 foot 4 inches. The width is 55 inches. Has a weight capacity of 400 pounds. Now this is a small hammock. I can feel the shoulder squeeze. It's just too narrow, too short. This would be great for someone 5'2" under. This would be also great for children. Then I purchased the double nest, and that thing was still too short, but it was very wide. So I started looking on the internet, and I learned about these cottage industries, these hammock companies that made hammocks out of their home, out of their garage, or even in the small shops. Some of them will customize them for you, and they're on the cutting edge, and you're going to get the best hammock, I believe, and I strongly recommend that you check out the small cottage industries. Now, one of the biggest problems, like I said earlier, is people will purchase a hammock that does not fit them. In most cases, they're too small. People, they'll get in the hammock and it'll be very uncomfortable, let alone sleep overnight in it, and they'll say, this isn't for me. Like I said in an earlier video, hammocks are like clothing. One size does not fit all. For an example, if you were to buy a jacket that's too small, it would be too tight and it'd cut off the circulation and it'd be very uncomfortable. Now you can see this jacket is way too small. There's not enough material to cover me. It's very uncomfortable. It's starting to cut off the circulation. To say that it doesn't matter the length or the width would be like saying the size of this jacket does not matter. Any size will work. If you bought a jacket that's too large, it'd be too roomy and you'd be swimming in it. Now you can see that this jacket is much too large for me. There's too much material, I'm swimming in it. It's more comfortable than the smaller jacket, but just like a hammock, you can get them too wide and too much material. I believe that you can get a hammock that will fit you just perfectly, just like this jacket here. This jacket fits nice, it's perfect, enough material. I believe you can get a hammock that fits just like a nice jacket. I wish the hammock companies would get together and rate hammocks, small, medium, large, or even extra large, and have a size table for people to look at, so when they purchase a hammock, they can get a hammock that fits them. Now some people like smaller, tighter jackets, some people like a bigger jacket, more loose material. It's the same thing with hammocks, so I know that's an issue. Now never purchase a hammock under 10 feet. A good starting point for a hammock in size is if you're 5'6" and under, you'd want the length at 10 feet, and the width would be 58 to 62 inches, which is around 150 centimeters. Now if you're between 5'6" and 6 feet, you'd want a hammock that's 11 foot in length, and you want the width to be around 60 inches to 66 inches in between there, which is around 160 centimeters. Now if you're over 6 feet, you'd want the hammock length to be at 12 feet or 11 feet with a width of around about 64 to 70 inches, and that is around 170 centimeters. Now it's time to talk about which suspension would work best for you. But first I'd like to ask you guys, please do not use rope that is wrapped around a tree. You can use it from the tree hugger or tree strap down, but please do not use rope to wrap around a tree to suspend your hammock or any type of cordage, because it will damage the bark and it could cause a tree to die. And there are special interest groups that are lobbying government to stop the hammocks from being hung in parks. And there are some places where hammocks are banned from being used in parks. So I ask you guys to please do not use any type of ropes, otherwise we're going to lose that freedom. Unless the suspension is connected to the hammock, you're going to need continuous loop on the end of your hammock. A continuous loop is a piece of amp steel that's spliced together about 8 inches, and on the end of your hammock you have a chamber that's sewn in, and the continuous loop is fed through it and makes a loop, and then that is what the suspension is connected to. And I find that a lot of companies now are selling them separate, so if you purchase a hammock you have to buy the continuous loop, otherwise it will not come with it. And that's been a problem with some of the people that have been talking to me. Now there's basically 4 different types of suspensions: the daisy chain, the cinch buckle, the whoopee sling, and the plain old tree straps. Now there's different styles of these and different companies that make them, but the principle is the same. So the first one is a daisy chain. also known as the Atlas strap or the Python strap. These are very easy to use, which makes them the favorite for beginners. The cons are that they are heavier than other suspension systems and they are not very compact. The main reason I don't care for the daisy chains is that you cannot dial the hang of your hammock to the exact adjustment to where you want it to be. The adjustments are basically 3 to 6 inches or more in increments because of the sewn in loops. The daisy chains are getting lighter and more compact, like these easy slings from Sierra Madre. The next one now is a cinch buckle suspension. I believe that they are one of the simplest way not only to hang but also to adjust the hammock. Cinch buckle suspension uses a buckle to make adjustments and lock your angle of your hang. The cinch buckles from Superior Hammock are the simplest and the easiest ones to use to adjust your hammock. If you're just starting out, these are the ones I suggest. They're not as lightweight or packable as the next two we're going to look at, which brings us to the third one, the whoopee sling. The whoopee sling are lightweight and packable in size. Like the cinch buckle, they make it easy to achieve the perfect hang angle because you're not restricted by loop placement in the daisy chain straps. They're fairly simple and easy to use once you get the hang of it, but require a basic understanding of hammock hanging that only comes with experience. These three types of suspensions cost right around $30 or so. If you're looking for a little more inexpensive suspension or you're an ultralight hiker, you may want to consider just plain old tree straps. To attach the tree straps, you would need to use a simple knot called the Beckett hitch. Not only are they ultralight, but also ultra compact. And later on, if you want to simplify the adjustment, then you can purchase a cinch buckle hardware to put on your tree straps. A great pair of tree straps, which has one loop on the end, are the Dutchware Gear Spider Poly straps. I would recommend 15 feet, just in case you have to hang on a tree that has a wide diameter. And they're around $14 for a pair. Now the cons are, you have to have a basic understanding of tying knots. And you have to be careful during the nighttime that the knot doesn't slip if you don't tie it right. Now the last thing I'd like to share with you is a structural ridgeline. Now some hammocks come with a structural ridgeline, others you have to order it. If they do not offer a structural ridgeline, you'll have to order from a small cottage company like Dutchware Gear will have them. The structural ridgeline is just basically a piece of cordage attached to each end of the hammock. Now, if you're going to order one or if you're going to make one, you want the structural ridgeline 83% of the length of the hammock. For example, if the hammock is 10 feet, you want the structural ridgeline at 100 inches, or which is 254 centimeters. And if you have a hammock at 11 feet, you'd want the structural ridgeline at 110 inches, which is 279 centimeters. Now there's three purposes for the structural ridgeline. The first one is to set the amount of sag in your hammock. So when you set it up, you'll always have that same sag to achieve a flat lie. No matter what the angle of the suspension is, you'll always have that perfect sag. And the second one is it absorbs the amount of pressure or force. Instead of putting all that force on the hammock, the structural ridgeline will absorb it. For an example, if you have trees that are farther apart and your angle of the suspension is lower, that puts a lot, it could double the pressure or even 3 times or 4 times the amount of pressure on your hammock. Instead of damaging your hammock, the pressure is absorbed by the structural ridgeline. And the third one is it's great to hang things on this. You could hang a knife, a flashlight. I got a ridgeline organizer. I can put things in there. And if you have wet clothes or socks, you can put them up here to dry when you're camping. Now the structural ridgeline I highly recommend. And I know you guys, I've been highly recommending a lot of things in this video, but I really want you guys to get the best hammock system available. Now I hope this video was helpful and insightful. In the next episode, we're going to look at how to put it all together and how to hang the hammock. If you have any questions or comments, please write them down below. I'd love to hear from you. This is the Marine. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and God bless.